I'll just take you back to the game against Moldova. You got on the pitch, which I think you needed because you were carrying an injury. How did you see it?
Yeah, I'd been obviously missed the last two games with Bournemouth. Had a bit of a calf problem, but thankfully, obviously, I was okay to come away. Missed the first couple of days of training, and then was eager to be involved. So, unfortunately, I was obviously on the bench, but it's nice to come on and have an appearance. So, yeah.
Do you think you have any reaction to that injury, or you think you're okay?
No, it's all good now. I've had a few calf problems in the past, but it was pretty straightforward what was wrong this time. It was just a grade 1, which is usually 10 to 12 days rest, which I was able to do, and it set me up nicely to come over here.
Were the club concerned at all? Because sometimes you hear players coming over to carrying an injury and then have to be assessed by the Ireland staff. Was there a lot of communication between the club and the Irish staff?
Yeah, there was, but I know my body. I'm 27 now. I know if my body's going to be okay or if an injury's going to resurface. So, the manager at Bournemouth understood it's 2 massive games, and he always encourages the players to go away when they're fit, and it was no different around this time. So
on to Wales then. You've got your minutes in, fit and ready to go. You hope to be selected, of course.
Of course, yeah. I think every player to play in a game of this, importance will be great for everyone. There's a few lads that have played in games similar to this, and their experience are going to be vital, especially to lads like myself, if I'm included, or other lads that maybe not have this experience. We'll need them. So, of course, for me personally, I would love to play, but the bigger picture is purely focused on the team getting a result.
When you look back at the Moldova game, we had such a good start, and that's been something that we've been looking for recently.
Yeah, we did. We started brightly, and we got that early goal, which I think was important against them. We watched clips of them against Wales, and it took about 75 minutes to Wales finally break through, and they can make it difficult as long as the game goes on. So that early goal, would have, probably stumped their game plan quite a bit. And obviously the second, in my opinion, finished the game off. And albeit maybe we could have dominated the game a little bit more, it was comfortable.
So how are you going to get into this Irish midfield then?
Well, opportunities like last night is a start for me. I feel I had my opportunity against Georgia and ultimately didn't really take it. I didn't play nowhere near well enough, and as a team we didn't play well enough. And as I said earlier, someone with my experience probably doesn't have them opportunities to then go and play straight away the next game. So, just keep coming over, keep training well, and if I do come on like last night, try and make an impression.
Well, you go back to the Austria game though, and that was probably our best result on the road, certainly. We were in a very good position at that point. Yeah,
things look very well. Set the group up nicely for us. We had a few home games after that, and we was in a real good position. And one thing that I think this group is very competitive. There's no real standout team in the group, but with that, there's no one that you can see as a team that you'll easily beat like some other groups. So, on paper, it may look a little bit easier than other groups, but I personally feel it's a lot more competitive. We found that out. Austria at home, it was a tough game. Serbia found that out last night, getting beat, and Georgia took points off majority of the teams in this group. So it's been a real tough group, and if we can get that second place now, I think it will put us in a good position to qualify.
Well, you mentioned Georgia and Serbia's result against Austria. I mean, actually winning the group is still a possibility.
Yeah. You look at the start of the week, and one thing that the managers want us to focus on was just purely our results. Because ultimately, if we win both games, that's the only thing we can do to try and qualify. Along with that, if results go our way in a great way, and that would be Serbia losing both games, then perfect. But we've just got to concentrate purely on ourselves, which I feel obviously we did last night. And going into Wales now, we know what our aim is.
It is a cup final in a sense, isn't it? I mean, we can take solace and comfort from the Austria game away, but the difference between that performance and the Georgia performance, can you put your finger on why it was such a different display?
It's hard to put your finger on it because it was a massive contrast in games, and you're scratching your head after thinking, why is it so different? I think Georgia probably don't get enough praise for the way they play football. they don't get nowhere near enough results for the way they keep the ball. They probably lack a cutting edge. But Georgia's a tough place to go. The flight's a difficult one. The way they play is completely different to maybe some other sides, and especially a side that you're not expecting to be as competitive as they are. Individually, we all have to take responsibility for that. As I say, myself, I take complete responsibility for not playing as well as I could have. And collectively, we were poor on the night. There's games like that. You have them games in your career, and unfortunately for us, it was that night.
Have you been beating yourself up a bit about your performances for Ireland? Because you've been very honest in saying you don't think you've reached the heights that you might want to.
Well, I just think, personally, you put pressure on yourself to be the best player, on the pitch every game I play in. And, bar maybe a couple of games, I don't feel I've done that. And, when you come away, it's obviously a long build-up to your next game. So them games stick in your head a little bit. The Georgia game was in my head for a little bit. As I said to you, I feel the position I'm in at the minute within the squad. Every opportunity that I get given, especially in a competitive game, I have to take with both hands. And I'm professional and honest enough to know when I haven't took it. And that night was especially one that I didn't. And I spoke to the manager before the Moldova game, and he asked me what my thoughts on it were. It was an honest conversation, which I felt was good. And for me, as I say now, it's starting again to get in his mind to get in the team.
What's your honest assessment of your best role within the team then?
I feel I'm capable of playing anywhere in midfield, obviously in a 2 or 3. We played a diamond last night, which I feel I was able to play in if needed. And ultimately, most comfortable would be in a 2 or someone in front of me. But as I say, I haven't got the experience or probably enough games under my belt to be demanding where I play yet, or at least saying this is where I want to play. I need to make the best of any opportunity of where I'm put and try and adapt to it and make sure I play well wherever I play.
A lot of big calls for the manager to make. I'm sure you've noticed how important Wes Hoolahan can be to our creativity, but it's going to be difficult to get him on the pitch, I suppose, against Wales, particularly after a game on Friday.
I think Wes he has something different to everyone in the squad. He's someone that can create something out of nothing, really. When he plays, he's a massive plus for us. But along with that, obviously we've got a great squad. We've got players coming back from injuries and suspensions, and the manager's got some big decisions to make. And I'm sure he's going to have some long thoughts over the weekend what his team will be, and whatever it will be, I'm sure everyone will be behind everyone, even if they're not made the team, and everyone knows what the end goal is.
Let's talk about Wales then. They're missing Gareth Bale, but they still have Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah, I think you look at every squad, they have injuries. Johnny Walters and Seamus Coleman are not superstars like Gareth Bale's seen, but for us, they're so important, and we've had to make do without them the last couple of games. And obviously missing Seamus is been a massive loss, our captain, and for us he's been unbelievable. So as much as it is a big loss for them, they'll have to deal with it, and we won't be looking at them any differently if Gareth Bale was playing or not playing. So our focus hasn't changed on that. Do you think it'll be a similar style of game to the one we had in Dublin? Yeah, it will be almost like a Premier League game. The lads are going to be used to playing against each other. There's not that feel against, you haven't come up against these players before, so there'll probably be a lot of players that are friends maybe between the teams, but that would definitely be put aside, during the game. And I'm sure they'll be, as competitive as we are, but in my opinion, it'll be down to who wants it the most that night. And from your own personal point of view, would this be up there as one of the biggest games of your career? Yeah, I'd have to say so, without a shadow of a doubt. I'd say, looking back, my international career-wise, the Austria for me at the time was the biggest, and I think anyone making their competitive debut, especially in a big qualifier like that would probably be seen as the most important. But for me now, if I was to play, then without a shadow of a doubt, that would be the biggest. And when you see the likes of Spain and England and Germany, booking their places,
Russia next summer on the horizon. That's a fantastic aim.
Yeah, regardless of where it is and the teams that have qualified to be in a World Cup for any player. For a nation like us to be qualified it would be massive for the country. As I say, individually it would be something that we can all look at when we finish our careers with great pride, and if we don't make it, it'd be something that would be kicking ourselves, no doubt, for a long time. And the managers, let the lads know how much it was a big deal for him planning the World Cup and what it meant to him, and the memories that he had from that, and hopefully we can make the same.
Cardiff has always been a pretty good place for Irish fans to go in terms of rugby, in terms of football as well. Do you reckon the atmosphere might intimidate the home team, because there'll be an extra burden of expectation on them, would you think?
It always does come with that. If they don't start the game well, the pressure will then amount even more. That'd be something for us that we can try and use to our advantage. So yeah, there's huge pressure on them. So for us, the pressure's purely set in within the camp. The pressure on ourselves is huge. We expect to win and we want to win, and if their fans play a part in maybe helping us do that, then all good.